Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we will be exploring deployment hands-on. So first we'll be creating a deployment and we'll check what is the current image version that we have deployed, and then we will update the image version to a different version, and then we'll be checking the rollout history of a deployment, and then we will also cover how to roll back to the previous version. Okay, so in case of something broken, we can revert back to the older version from the latest version. Okay, so from the Kubernetes documentation, I'm going to take the sample manifest file for creating the deployment. Okay, so this is the example that I'm going to demonstrate here. So let me copy this file. Okay, now I'm going to create a directory. Okay, vim nginx deployment .yaml. Okay, so here the kind is deployment, and this is the deployment name, and label we are using app nginx. This label is for the deployment, and replicas it will be 3, and we'll be using the label here app nginx. So these two has to match, okay, under the selector and under the template, and the container which I'll be using nginx version 1.14.2, and this is the container port. Okay, so now I'm going to save this YAML file, and let me create the deployment using this file. So what is the command for that? kubectl create nginx deployment.yaml. Okay, so the deployment is created. Okay, to check the status, you can run kubectl get deployment. Okay, so this is the deployment we just created, nginx deployment, and ready 3x3, up to date, available, and this is the age. Okay, so when we create the deployment, it will also create the replica set kubectl get rs, or you can type replica set as well. Okay, so this is the nginx deployment, right? So nginx deployment, and with the hash value here, and there are 3 pods. Okay, to check the pod, we can use kubectl get pod command, and it will start with nginx deployment and then the replica set id. So this is the pod. Okay, so there are 3 pods running in this deployment. Okay, so next to check this rollout, we can use the command called kubectl rollout status deployment nginx deployment. So using this command, we can check if the previous deployment, the one which we deployed, right, the nginx deployment, whether that is successful or not. Okay, so here the deployment, nginx deployment successfully rolled out. Okay, you can also use the slash here. Okay, so this way we can check the status of the deployment. And to check the image version, we can use the kubectl describe command. Okay, kubectl describe. Okay, first let me get the pod kubectl get pod. So I'm going to take one of the pod. Okay, kubectl describe pod and mention the pod name. Okay, so now I'm going to grab with the image. Okay, so this pod running with the nginx 1.14.2 version. Okay, now let's see how we can update the deployment with the different version. So let's say currently it is 1.14 and I want to update into 1.16 version. So let's see how we can achieve that. So we can use the kubectl set command, set image and then the deployment and the deployment name nginx deployment, and then here we can specify the image version nginx equal nginx colon. So I want to update 1.16.1 version. So you can check the available version in the GitHub, in the Docker Hub site, and you can update the version accordingly. Okay, followed by I also want to get the rollout status. So I'm going to specify the rollout command here, kubectl rollout status and the deployment and nginx deployment. Okay, image updated, waiting for deployment rollout to finish. Okay, so here we can check using the watch command. Okay, this is for the nginx deployment. So what it does, first it will create the container. So it will create the pod, and once that pod is created with a new image, then it will terminate that pod. Okay, so it will be doing one by one. So once the second pod is created, then it will terminate the second pod. So similarly, it will proceed on. Okay, now we can see the deployment is successfully rolled out. And here in this output also, we can see that 1 out of 3 new replicas have been updated, and then 2 out of 3. Because once the new version is available with that pod, then it will terminate the older one. And second is 2 available, and then 1 old replicas are pending for termination. So finally, all 3 updated, then it will terminate all the 3 existing old pod that has the older version. Okay, now to verify that image, kubectl get pod. Okay, let me take this part, kubectl describe pod. Okay, now let me grab with the image. Okay, now we can see that it's Nginx 1.16, right? So previously we had a 1.14 version, and now we have 1.16. Okay, so we are able to successfully do the update in the deployment. Okay, so we did check the rollout status. Now let's check the rollout history using the kubectl rollout history, deployment, and Nginx deployment. Okay, so we had a revision 1 where we deployed with 1.14 version, and in the revision 2 we deployed with the 1.16 version. Okay, so now if I want to revert back to the older version, let's see how we can do that. Okay, so before that, let's check in revision 1 what version and revision 2 what version, so that we can then revert back to the other version. Okay, kubectl rollout history and deployment Nginx. Okay, let me put revision 1. Okay, so in this revision, in this deployment, we had image version 1.14.2, and now if I put the revision 2, here we did update the deployment with the Nginx 1.16 version. Okay, now let's say I want to revert back to this revision 1, which is 1.14 version, and now let's see how we can achieve that. Okay, for that we can use kubectl rollout. We'll be using the undo deployment and Nginx deployment. Okay, here we'll mention to revision 1 because in the revision 1 we had 1.14 version. Okay, so now it is rolled back, and similarly here it will create the pod and then terminate the older one. Okay, if we run Let me check the image version now. Okay, first let's ensure the pods are running. kubectl get pod, nginx deployment, and we can see pods are running. And let me take this part, kubectl describe pod, okay, and grub image. Okay, so we have successfully rolled out to the 1.14, right? Previously we had 1.16 and now we have the image version 1.14. Okay, so here currently kubectl get deployment. So we have three, right? The replicas. So let's say if I want to scale the replicas, then how we can do that? Okay, using kubectl scale deployment and nginx deployment. So here I can specify the replicas. So here I'm going to put replicas equal to, and here additionally I'll be supplying the record. Okay, let's say what happened. Okay, so the deployment is scaled. Now if I run kubectl get deployment, we can see it is changed to 2. Okay, and now if I run kubectl history command, kubectl history, it will be rollout and then history. You can use the tab for command completion and deployment, nginx deployment. Okay, so previously we didn't have any change cause here, but now we can see it is recorded what the command we ran here. Okay, so next we will see kubectl describe deployment and nginx deployment grub a6. Okay, so here we can see the strategy type. So by default, the deployment strategy type will be rolling update. And here we can see the replicas. And this is the selector. And this is the rolling update strategy, which is 25% max unavailable, 25% max search. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.